All right. I've been thinking about ways that I would do this video because, I knew after last night that I needed to make one. It's, first time in history of this channel that the Giants have been in the playoffs and first time they won a playoff game. And now, the first time I am recording a Giants playoff elimination video. And while I hope this is the last time I need to make a Giants playoff elimination video, I also hope that this isn't really the first, because that would mean we didn't make the playoffs, and that would be a whole other issue. So I just sort of wanted to ramble for a bit. Going into this game, like I said, I didn't think the Giants would win, and I didn't think it would be particularly close. Didn't think it would be like this, how it ended up, 38-7. I mean, I didn't think it would be that much of a thrashing. But in a way, I was sort of grateful that it was all over by the end of the first quarter. Like, it's honestly that it was over. Like, after the Bradbury pick, that in my opinion was where the game really ended. That was when I thought, I'm like, okay, this isn't happening. 28-0 at halftime. No, I guess it was easy to stomach. Uh, and I'm sorry if I'm stumbling on my words a lot. This is purely off the cuff. I just needed to record this. But I guess I'm kind of happy it wasn't like a usual Giants Eagles game where the Giants would be leading in the fourth quarter, or they'd be like a couple of plays away from being able to kick the game-winning field goal, or they're like a botched snap or fumbling a kneel down, which actually happened. If any of you know the first miracle at the Meadowlands, or like a punt return for a touchdown, or an easy drop, all things that have happened. I'm grateful that it was just a good old fashioned, just ass kicking. Took it on the chin. We're like, all right, GG's. You guys are the better team. I'm not going to say I respect the Eagles, because I've, quite frankly, never really respected them. I respect the Cowboys, but I don't respect the Eagles. Like, I genuinely hate the Eagles more than any other franchise in sports. More than any other. And that's including, like, the Cowboys, the Red Sox, the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, the Flyers. Like, I am at a whole other level of hatred with the Eagles. But GG, you moved on. Hopefully you don't play Dallas, because I would not be able to handle an Eagles Cowboys NFC Championship. I'd hate it. Like, I'd really hate it. I'm sorry for any potential background noise, because I am in a conference room on my college campus that I happen to have access to, because behind me, this is where the streaming setup for Iona Esports is, for me calling their Rocket League games. But anyways, if you hear like people talking out there, that's why. Um, but I just want to talk about like the outlook of where this organization is heading, because I just want to preface everything by saying I am beyond proud of this team. What they have went through, the players who are already here, the losing, the dysfunction, the everything that had to do with Dave Gettleman and Pat Shermer and Jason Garrett and Joe Judge and John Mara, all of the incompetence that took place that led to the Giants becoming, quite frankly, the laughingstock of the league. Like, if any team needed something to make them feel better, or if a fan of a bad team needed something to make them feel better, they threw on a Giants game. And now I'm proud to say that the Giants are, honestly, they're back to being part of the class of the NFL. Like, in the upper class of organizational functionality in the NFL. That is, so the Giants are back to that area, like where they were for the last 20, 30 years before Tom Coughlin got forced to resign and all that taking place. I'm also Ben McAdoo. Jesus, he was the worst out of all of them, in my opinion, at least. He may have not made as much of a fool of himself as Judge did, but McAdoo is definitely... the benching of Eli Manning is the most classless move I've seen by the Giants in my life and in most of other people's lives who dedicate themselves to watching this team and paying attention. And I'm glad to say that those days are over. I can confidently say that those days of incompetence and chicanery are over. Regarding going forward, I cherish this year a lot when we got to the playoffs and winning that playoff game in Minnesota where Daniel Jones played one of the best games I've ever seen from a Giants quarterback. Granted, it was against a papier-mâché bomb shelter of a defense, but it was an incredible game. Why I love this year so much is that we were playing with house money. We had no expectations going in. The expectation was going to be that we were going to take it on the chin, and we would have spent the last 2 months talking about how good Bryce Young or CJ Stroud was going to be in a Giants uniform. We were going to be looking at Bryce Young photoshops on Twitter like since Thanksgiving. Actually, no, since Halloween. We would have been looking at what stud college quarterback the Giants were going to draft with the probably like a top 5 pick. And whether we were going to trade up, what we were going to do with these assets, what we were going to do in regards to trading Saquon Barkley after what we thought was going to be another sort of mediocre year from him because of the injuries. We got none of that. We got promising play from a quarterback. We got a return to form for Saquon. A ragtag group on defense that, granted, when they were faced with talent that they couldn't keep up with, they got burnt a lot. They had a terrible run defense, which is shocking for a defense with Dexter Lawrence on it, who, by the way, has become one of the elite defensive tackles in the league. They better hang on to him for dear life. And I have faith in Joe Shane and Brian Dable and the ins and outs, the brilliant minds they've brought into this organization. I have faith that they are going to do what ultimately ends up being right. And that's a great thing to say. That really is. Because for years it was incompetence. And for years it was us feeling like we could step into that room and offer a better solution than what was actually being offered. But Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, like those contract talks, like we didn't even think of the possibility of extending them before the season. And now we're at a point where we're discussing like numbers, like legit numbers for what a proper contract extension would be for the both of them. But again, I have faith in Joe Shane to work it out and get those two back on a deal that doesn't really hamstring us. And I know they're going to take their licks on Jones when they do eventually extend him to a $30-something million a year contract, because everybody still has this preconceived notion that Daniel Jones is an awful quarterback and he can't do anything while being absent-minded about what is around him. And the talent, which the talent is still terrible. The talent's going to get better. There are many picks in this draft. They've got cap space that they are going to open up, like cutting Kenny Golladay and all that. I'm certain guys coming off the books who I can't name off the top of my head, but I know restructuring deals like Leonard Williams. I saw something come out that Leonard Williams was willing to take a pay cut to stay. Probably at the behest of his agent. And Saquon Barkley flat out said he wasn't looking to reset the market for a running back, which I am sure his agent watched that video and promptly slammed his coffee mug into a wall and ended up breaking it, thus spilling coffee all over his floor. But anyways, there are expectations now. Going forward, there are going to be expectations. Not every year is every year from this point forward, for the next few years, and for the foreseeable future, going into September, going into week 1, the New York Football Giants are going to have expectations to win. They're going to have expectations to make the playoffs. And maybe as soon as next year, they are going to have expectations to take that next step and get over the hump and win a Super Bowl, which is both a blessing and a curse, as I have learned from watching the Yankees the last few years. Expectations breed, agony in a way. Because when you fall short of those expectations, it hurts. Although Joe Shane is a way better GM than Brian Cashman and Brian Dable, it's honestly insulting them to put him in the same conversation as Aaron Boone. But I leave the Giants with this. As the expectations grow higher and as you enter this championship window, I doubt you're going to see this. But if it's one message for you to hold from this, it's that look in your town and just convert on this opportunity. Get over the hump. Make the right decisions to bring the right people into the right places and address the right things to help this team win a championship. Don't be the Yankees. Whatever the hell you do with this window, please do not be the Yankees. Because honestly, the Yankees are a blueprint on what not to do when you come off of a season where you were playing with house money and you made a run that nobody thought you were going to make. I don't want to look at this 5 years from now and say this was the best it was going to get. I don't want to have my 23-year-old self walk through that door and tell me 2022 is the best it's going to get. That playoff win against Minnesota is as good as it's going to get. It's all downhill from here. It's all miserable. It's all disappointment and heartbreak against the same damn team. I don't want to experience what I experienced with the Yankees, with the Giants. Just don't be the Yankees. I guess if it's one thing I can summarize from this portion of the video, and this video as a whole, is just don't be the Yankees. All right, that's all. That's all from me. Just wanted to make this. Be sure to like, subscribe. Obviously, back here, you can check me on Twitch whenever Iona is playing in Rocket League. They're gearing up for their next semester, and they try to make a run for the MAC championship. They're second in a row. It's a very special team that I've had a privilege to cover. Obviously, check out all the other teams on Iona Esports. Obviously, it would mean the world to me. I'm friends with practically all the people who play in those games. So be sure to show them some love. Obviously, if this is the first time you're coming across my channel, be sure to subscribe. Listen to my podcast with Ming Chen. It would mean a lot to me. And obviously, put a like on this video. Tell all your friends. Thank you very much. And from the Iona University conference room, this is what this room is called, but it's really my commentary booth. I am Cameron Woolley. Stay classy, New Jersey.